Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for yet another opportunity to see up close and personal some of our producers here that produce some of the shows here on Access 21 and take a closer look at their shows and find out what they do to get them on the air for you. Now, many of you may already be familiar with one of the programs called the Oracle of God, produced by Mother Edith Lamb. Well, now we have a new producer of that show, and here tonight in the studio with me is that producer, Mr. John Allen. Welcome to the program.
I'm so happy to be here with you, Miss Gibson.
Yeah, well, again, glad to have you. And of course, as I said to the viewers, the Oracle of God has been produced for many years.
Oh, yes.
Over 25 years on Access 21 by your mother, none other than your mother.
Yes, yes, my mother, she done it for 25 years. She never came to the point where she was tired, but then she also knew what I could do, and she wanted to keep it going. And so she asked me one day, son, are you feeling up for it to come down and run that show for me and just continue? And so I decided that I would.
Very good. So, you know, everybody I'm sure wants to know how she's doing.
Oh, wow, she's doing great. I talked to her yesterday and today. And as you know, my mother's 90 years old.
Yes.
But you would never know it. She's still driving and getting around, and she's still healthy. She just decided to pick her days or what she will and won't do, you know, as far as her life goes.
Right.
Yeah, so that's basically where she's at this stage of the game.
Exactly. Well, it's good to know, you know, what season you're in.
Right.
And it's so good that you were able to step in and pick up that torch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So how has that transition been for you?
Well, it's been a very good transition. You know, I did this with her as help or as talent with her years ago when she started.
Right.
And so I already knew what needed to be done, but I was just doing the music as development in that with bringing her on from music, from just talking to music.
Right.
But then as far as the teaching goes, because I was already ordained and licensed and whatnot, I came on with her to help her with that too. And so now this show has caused me to really dig in and scrap in to know what I know in order to be airing information, because you got to know what you're talking about.
Exactly, exactly. Now, you talked about having helped her when she first got started, or when did you come in in the process?
I think my mother was underway with the program for at least 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
I was living in Augusta, Georgia at that time.
Okay.
And I drove back and forth to do whatever her son can do for a mother. And she started telling me, son, you ought to come down to the studio and watch the show and see if you would want to be a part of it. And so I came down, I liked it. I said, well, Ma, I'll sing a song or two for you. She says, that'd be great. I even gave her an opening song. She used it for a while, and then she faded to some other things. But when I came down and saw what she was doing, I saw that sooner or later I would be more help to her as time went on. But my mom's, as you know, is a very strong woman.
Yes,
so
yes.
I had to wait until the time comes that I can do more for her based on when she needed more.
Right. Well, that's good. It's good to kind of know where you can kind of pick up in the process and how you can help.
Right.
And so now with you in charge, how does it feel to do about everything?
You know, it's a little bit more detailed than I thought it was, because my mother was the producer and I just do what, you know, she tell me to do.
Right.
But now, you know, you have to coordinate your people, your work committee around you, your cameraman, your floor director. You have to get your material together.
Right.
You have to book the times that you're going to come in and do any recording and the editing. And so it's a lot more than just sitting on the sideline watching.
Right.
But I like it because it keeps me busy, and I am now a retired soldier. So I have the time to do what I need to do for this show and to put all that I have into it.
Absolutely. That's excellent.
Yeah.
And so being a new producer, what would you advise to new producers about coming on?
That's a great question. I think that anytime you're producing something, that means you're solely responsible for it. So you have to come in with the responsibility and the frame of mind that it's got to be right.
Right.
The content has to be good. then you have to put the extra effort and the time and go in various places to get all the things that you are required to have to put your information out, your facts, the books, any props that you need to help push your program forth. So I would tell that producer, make sure that he knows what he or she wants to do, how they want to do it, but to put their best effort in it, because people are watching.
Right. That's right. People are watching. And you got a built-in audience, so they're watching.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, I never thought about that. My mother's audience became my audience. And I don't want it to have my mom's at one level and I come along and then it drops. So I got to add some things in there that maybe she didn't do, such as my music and the singing. And then maybe put a twist on how I present the show that's crafty, you know?
Right.
So that's what I do.
Well, you have produced how many shows
I
since
have done
taking
10.
over? You've done 10. So they have been airing, and you're going to do another season.
Right.
And so tell us, a little bit about one of the shows that you really liked doing. While we'll air some of the footage from it.
There was one show I did back a few weeks ago. This show was a very good one when I was speaking about the transition and dealing with God. Now, everything that I do is on a spiritual tone. And so my thing is to make the viewer aware of our life. I can't say their life because I'm a part of living today too.
Right.
So what I speak about is not for just them, it's for me. And so what I do is I use things that you never think of and you take for granted, but I bring it into the realization of life in the spiritual world. So when we're speaking about, for instance, a good angler catches fish. You're thinking about a fisherman, which is an angler, to catch fish. However, when I bring it to the spiritual world, I'm speaking about us as fishermen catching the fish, which are the people. And when Jesus told Peter, says, you guys throw your net on the right side of the ship, because what they were doing, they weren't catching anything.
Right.
But when they threw it on the right side, when they pulled the nets out, they had so many fish, they couldn't even pull the net up. So it's basically how you catch that fish. And so using a very tricky or a very viewing and ear-piercing topic, it allows the person, where is he going with this? And then when I bring it in, oh, I got it.
You got it.
Yeah, catchy.
Right. It sounds like you are giving stories just like Jesus gave stories, what you were saying. Yeah.
The parables.
Yeah, the parables. So that's awesome. And then when it comes to, you talked about your audience, we talked about that built-in audience, but when it comes to the people behind the scenes and behind the production, how do you go about doing that? And what would you tell producers about building their crew?
Now, that's very unique question, because you see, you deal with a lot of different crew that help you out, and every producer is different.
Right.
They've got their own mannerisms, the way they do things. But I would tell the producer, and dealing with the crew so that the crew can relate back to the producer, is make sure that you show humility, you're humble, and you try to show professionalism.
Absolutely.
And then you also show them where they may not know. You have some people that are doing their testing, trying to come along with it. And then you have some people been here a while, they just like doing it. But you have to get a rapport between the crew and yourself. Therefore, when you say we're going to meet at a such and such time, they're there. They're eager to work,
right? And
you guys work together and you get the job done. But it's very important, the relationship between that crew and the producer.
Very good. That's very good, because you're right. It's like, when you're building a team for anything.
Right.
You got to work together.
Exactly.
You have to go for the goal.
Right.
And look towards that so that everything can flow properly.
Exactly. And get it done. Get the job. Once again, they're watching.
That's right. Now, if you've done 10 shows already, it sounds like you have been able to pull together your material, your crew, and get everything in place so that you can just hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's, now that's the other thing. Like, I was talking to a crew member on one given night, and they had appointments and things going on. So, sometimes we as producers have to make ourselves available to help out other producers.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you may need someone from their group that they know of to come in and help you. And you can put yourself in a situation where you have no one, you make a phone call, someone comes in. So yes, it's very important that you're very flexible, not only with your time to come do your show, but with others that are in this same station, same area, so that you can lend a hand out to them, and therefore you can keep it going. Very important.
Right, kind of cross-pollinate.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right, perfect. Well, with Mother Edith having produced this show for 25 years, she was able to pull the crew together. Sounds like you learned a lot from her, pull her material together. And what were some of the specific things that she told you?
Ms. Gibson, you're asking some great questions.
Well,
you would not even imagine that I talked to my mother about what you're asking me not even 2 hours ago.
Wow.
She said to me that when she first started out, there were some producers down here that was just learning, and she had a lot of problems getting started. She said there was a lot going on. And then she had two of them. There's one that's still here now, Mr. Eric Cunningham.
Okay, yes.
He's one of the directors that she had. And there's another one that came. He was here for a bunch of years. He died. She had two that died on her. She had been there that long that they came in and did their job. But one director, she told him one day, she says, I want you to go ahead and take that class, learn it. I want you to be my director because you're going to do a good job. He went and he took the classes. He got the skills sharpened up, and he ended up directing my mother for, I think it was about 15 years.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he was sick, and things started to slow down for him.
Yeah.
And he left North Carolina and went, I think, to Florida.
Okay.
He later passed.
He later passed on, yeah.
But he was a great guy that my mother had. But it's been that way with her starting out. You start to get going and you get to moving, and it just doesn't move like you want it to.
Right.
But you don't give up. You don't quit, and you keep your humble attire on. The way you would treat people is the way you want to be treated.
Right.
So she did that, and she stayed prayed up, and then the next thing, she got full steam ahead. She was gone. No problem.
No problem.
Yeah.
And that's good you brought up, the different things that you may run into, but the fact that she was able to get a good director and be with her for 15 years.
15 years.
Before he passed. And then you mentioned Eric Cunningham, who is helping us on this show tonight.
Right.
It's awesome. He's a veteran. Many people have seen him in the videos that we air on the platform. And so, other people coming up and getting their, doing their due diligence for shows that they want to do out and about and what have you, or here. So this is awesome that you are doing that. You've taken over that torch.
Oh, yeah.
And so we look to see all that you're going to keep doing.
Yeah, he was the third one.
Who was the third one?
Eric was the third one.
Okay.
She had matter of fact, both of the directors that she had in the past, they passed. Wow. And
that's
then
longevity for the show.
Longevity,
with the show.
25 years.
Yeah.
So, and there's only, I guess, Chocolate Box, is it?
Yes, with Theatri Green.
Right. He is one, and there's another young lady that she has a show that comes on. It's about 2 or 3 of them that have longevity as far as being down here.
Right. Exactly.
So it's an honor to be with my mom's and connected to her. That's why I kept her name, because I know she has an audience under that name.
Right.
But I also know that name is established under longevity.
Exactly. And she did a wonderful job. Both of you did a wonderful job of being on the show together before she completely handed it over to you.
What we did is and guess what? We're not done.
Right. That's good.
We are not done, because I'm going to bring her back to talk with me on a show or two. But she did let's say, handing over the torch.
Right.
She presented the Bible to me. We talked about it. The first show was her talking, and I interviewed her.
Yes.
And I asked her, well, Moms, what do you think about this, and how long did it take you? And so she talked a little bit about that. But then she turned around on the second show, is she passed the Bible over to me, the torch. So now we're letting the viewers know she's still here. I'm taking over the show, but hey, she'll be back, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, whenever you still are here and, you know, you maybe get a little tired of the process and the constant, you know, putting out a program. But it's good to have someone who can really pick up that ball and just run with it.
We have something coming up soon, and I think within the next month and a half, I've talked to the bigger guys here, and I'll be talking to you more about this.
Okay.
My mother and I are going to put a special together, a 1 hour special.
Okay.
Now, you cannot cover 25 years in a 1 hour.
No.
You know, but we're going to put at least about 8 snippets of what she's done from the earlier days up to the current times that she was leaving, conversations she's had with many people, things she's accomplished and whatnot.
Yes.
And that's going to be not so much a send-off, but showing you who she was over the period of time.
Over this time.
Yeah.
That's going to be wonderful. And, you know, your mom and I have talked about her travels and knowing that she and family were originally from Florida.
Right.
But went to New York. And then in New York, she's told me that she got her calling to do what she's doing now.
Right.
Up in New York.
Right.
And
she did that.
Yeah.
She did a little bit of that in New York, but because of her plans to come to Charlotte, she didn't go out all the way because there was a studio that she can do. There was a radio that she was going to be on.
Wow.
And she was on the radio when I was younger in the church that we attended. She was the church announcer on the radio.
Wow.
Yeah.
That part I didn't know.
Yeah, she did that for years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were you when that happened?
Oh, wow. I guess I might have been 12, 13.
Oh, my goodness. And you were paying attention then, weren't you?
I was watching and listening, and
Yeah.
Mom, why you sound so proper? You don't talk like that at home. That's the way you have to be on radio, son.
Right.
You know, she's telling me. But it was very great to hear my mother. I tuned in on the radio. I'm at home.
Right.
And, you know, this is a delayed show, so what I'm hearing now was taped maybe a week prior. And so welcome to the Refuge Church of God in Christ, 831 Main Street, Peekskill, New York, and where our pastor resides. And I said, wow, Ma, you're good.
Yeah.
So I didn't know she can do things like that.
Well, that's awesome. It's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift, and she was obviously being prepared for this show and for, you know, all that she does whenever she is putting those gifts in action.
Right.
Yeah. So what about you? You said you were a soldier, and I want to know, where have you traveled?
I have been retired now since 1997.
Okay.
I did 22 years in the military.
Okay.
I've been to Korea. I've been to Germany. I've been to France. I've been to Africa.
Wow.
Many states in the United States. Matter of fact, at one time, I spoke fluent German.
Wow.
But you don't use it, you lose it. So that started to dissipate and go away, but I still remember. My life in the military was communications.
Okay,
So
look at you.
So communications. I did the radios, the telephones, and fixing them, setting them up so that the generals and everyone would be able to talk.
Right.
And I enjoyed doing that. My traveling through the military was doing the same thing. But as I started to go up in ranks, the communication was always there, but not used as much because I became a first sergeant.
Okay.
And then that's dealing with personnel now. I'm dealing with people now. I'm putting people in certain positions and making sure that they eat and make sure that the fuel and things that we need for our vehicles when we go to the field, it's there, and the rations. So my role changed in my later stages of the military, but the communication was always there. So when my communication was bad, you know, I would get with that communications soldier, and I said, look, this is my job that I did before I got here. Get this thing fixed.
Get it right.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you were training You were trained so you could train someone else.
Right, right.
Yes, and so back to the communications part, you said so the generals could talk. They
Right.
would talk to the media, communicate within the ranks and within the military. And what all did that entail?
Now, that's another good question. We had this thing called MCS, Maneuver Control System.
Okay.
The generals had to tell the division commanders what we have in personnel, who's hurt, you know, what's our manpower,
Right.
the food that we had. And so they would simply look on this manning strength computer, know how much food to send. And the colonel that I worked for would notify the general of the, now I worked in a brigade level.
Okay.
Then there's your division, and then you go on higher on up.
Okay.
And my brigade commander would tell the division what we need and what's going on based on what the other captains for the companies told him, because there's so many companies that make up a brigade. Then your brigade, you put them together, make up the division.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so to communicate that way, what's going on the battlefield, where is the enemy located, how many aircraft do we need to have someone to come in to take some people out of here. Also, sometimes the commanders needed transportation to get around from one location to the other. Now, I worked out some of that even at my first sergeant position because I knew that was important. So the guys that could do that, some of the NCOICs of communication, I would probably not say anything to them about it. I'll just go over them, because I was over them, and directly make that connection, because that couldn't be messed up.
Right.
When that general had to leave the location or that colonel had to leave the location, they had to go elsewhere. It had to be a smooth operation.
Yeah.
So it was very important that it was done right.
Awesome. You know what it sounds like to me? That you also were being prepared to do what you're doing now, because you have to take care of the personnel in terms of getting your crew, take care of things that you know need to be done right.
Exactly.
And so both of you, Mother Edith and you, were prepared to, you know, do this, what you're doing right now, to step right into this role.
Well, and you're absolutely right. What has happened is like I wasn't singing as much as I used to, because I'm not in Augusta, Georgia, because I played for a lot of churches.
Okay.
Keyboard, piano,
Okay.
and singing, you know. But because of the show, I had to go back to my singing because I wanted to use that with my show. And upcoming shows, I'll be playing and singing.
Nice.
So I'll be doing that.
Okay.
And then, as I forestated earlier, because of the show, my information, my content, I have to start studying more, reading more, and getting the information so that when I put it out, because you got people going to check you out. They're going to see, oh, that's not right. You know, you know, where did he get that from?
Right.
So you have to have everything right. So it has caused me to research and to know what I'm talking about, even cross-referencing with other Bibles and other papers and, you know, various things that I could use in that particular subject.
Right.
So this show has built me up to be better in what I'm doing now because of who I have to deal with.
Right. Well, it sounds like you are studying to show yourself approved. That's what it sounds like.
That's right. That's right.
And making sure that, you know, you sustain that torch, not just grab it, but you have to sustain it.
Sustain it, right. Well, 25 years, that's something to, you know, she did that 25 years. Now, I'm not going to say I can do that 25 years. I'll have to live first.
Right.
But as far as putting a dent in her time, I'm hoping that I can get 10, 15 years in and a continuation of what my mother started.
Right. Well, I just love the way you're doing it, because you are both being able to transition everything over and mingle together on set and on the air. And so I know about your wife as well. And tell me if she is going to be involved.
You know all the questions to ask.
Okay.
She's going to be coming down soon, because what we're going to be doing is not so much a husband and wife team, but there's information that I like to put out there. And sometimes when you're speaking about a woman and you're speaking about woman's information and woman's business, it's sometimes good when the woman speaks it, when it comes out of her mouth.
That's wise.
And so she'll be here to do a show or two on things such as that, but she also will be helping me behind the scenes.
Good.
Things that I need to keep up with and know, and things that she needs to remind me of. Don't forget, we're going to talk about this, you need to talk about that.
Right.
Matter of fact, because of my wife and some friends that I know, I have a guest coming on next couple, 2 or 3 weeks to do a show. This guy is a doctorate's degree in marriage. Him and his wife in being married, counselors, both him and his wife. She's an elder.
Okay.
And boy, they've got great information on sustaining that and how to get it going and all of that. So I'm going to have them on the show here soon. Okay. And that's going to be a blast.
That sounds
But
like
she's coming. The wife is coming.
That's so good. Well, I was wondering if she would be able to make it because, you know, you have that teamwork going with other things that you both do, and bring it right on in here is awesome. Yeah.
Well, she's my critic, and she's also, you know, my critiquer, you know, so she's watching, hey, you need to start doing this. So, you know, okay, you know, but it's good because then that makes me better. You know, the improvement comes along. So I have to give her credit for what she does because she's an asset. So therefore, I must keep her apart.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. John, I thank you so much for being here and rolling with us tonight. And we want to let everyone know about the show times and the days. So how about you just let the viewers know those details?
Thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely.
I come on every Wednesday at 12 noon and at 9:30 p.m. on every Wednesday, the Oracle of God, your host, John K. Allen. And I would love for you to join in and watch. You'll be very much pleased with what you'll see, not only the talk show itself, but the music. So every Wednesday, twice a day, 12 noon at 9:30 p.m., the Oracles of God. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you the next time.